The Neptune research station's warning klaxons shattered the usual silence of deep space. Captain Sarah Chen sprinted through the pristine white corridors, her heart pounding against her ribs. The station's discovery team had found something in the Kuiper Belt that defied explanation. A warship of human origin that, according to all historical records, shouldn't exist. "Status report," she barked, entering the control room. The holographic displays showed a massive vessel, its hull gleaming with an impossible metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Dr. Marcus Wong, the station's lead archaeologist, looked up from his console with wide eyes. "Captain, you need to see this. The ship's quantum dating puts it at over 10,000 years old, but the technology, it's centuries ahead of anything we have now." Sarah studied the scans, her trained military eye catching details that others might miss. The vessel was roughly 2 kilometers long, with a design that ignored conventional space warfare doctrine. Instead of the standard armored approach, it appeared almost organic, with flowing lines that reminded her of a predatory sea creature from Earth's oceans. "Have we managed to access any of its systems?" she asked, leaning closer to examine the holographic representation. "That's the thing," Marcus replied, pulling up another display. "The ship's been reaching out to us. It's not dead. It's been waiting." As if responding to his words, the main screen flickered. Lines of text appeared, written in an ancient form of Sanskrit that slowly transformed into modern English. "Protocol 7 Alpha initiated. Seeking authorized commander. Compatible candidate detected." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as the ship's sensors focused on her. The station's AI confirmed what she already suspected. The ancient vessel was scanning her, reading her neural patterns, her military history, her decision-making processes. Admiral Kenzo appeared on the emergency channel, his weathered face grave. "Captain Chen, are you seeing this?" "Yes, sir. The ship appears to be choosing. The Security Council is split. Half want to destroy it, claiming it's too dangerous to risk alien technology masquerading as human engineering. The others," he paused, studying her face, "the others want you to take command." Sarah's mind raced. Humanity was losing the war against the Nexus Coalition, an aggressive alliance of alien species that had emerged from the galactic core. Their technology was superior, their numbers overwhelming. Earth's colonies were falling one by one. "Sir, with respect, how can we be sure this isn't a trap?" Marcus interrupted, his voice excited. "Captain, we've finished the preliminary analysis. The quantum signature of the materials. It's definitely human technology, just different, like an alternate evolution of our engineering path." The ship's next message made Sarah's decision for her. Time remaining before hostile force arrival, 72 hours. Evolution of human civilization diverges at this node. Choose. Admiral Kenzo's expression hardened. "Captain Chen, I'm giving you direct authority. This ship obviously has capabilities we don't understand. If it's chosen you, there must be a reason. Whatever you decide, make it count." Sarah straightened, years of military training taking over. "Sir, request permission to form a volunteer crew and investigate the vessel." "Granted," but Sarah, the Admiral's use of her first name, caught her attention. "If this goes wrong, if that ship proves to be a threat, you'll have to destroy it, and yourself if necessary." "Understood, sir." Over the next 48 hours, Sarah assembled a crew of 20 specialists, engineers, tactical officers, and scientists who were willing to risk everything on this gamble. The ship, which they discovered was called the Nemesis, began interfacing with their modern systems, teaching them its basic operations through a series of neural links. As Sarah stood on the Nemesis's bridge for the first time, she felt something she hadn't experienced since the war began: hope. The ship's systems were beyond anything she'd ever encountered. The neural interface responded to her thoughts with perfect precision, showing her capabilities that seemed to border on the impossible. "All stations, report," she commanded, settling into the captain's chair that had reformed itself to match her exact proportions. Engineering online, Captain. The power source. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Some kind of controlled quantum cascade reaction. Tactical ready. Weapons systems are. Ma'am, if these readings are correct, we're carrying enough firepower to level a small solar system. Navigation standing by. The ship's AI is integrating with our stellar maps. It's learning, adapting our current navigational data with its ancient star charts. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the ship's consciousness brush against her mind. It wasn't an AI in any conventional sense. It was something more, something that blurred the line between technology and life itself. Send word to Admiral Kenzo. Tell him the Nemesis accepts my command, and we're ready to begin operations. She paused, watching as the massive vessel came fully alive around them. It's time to show the Nexus Coalition that humanity has some surprises of its own. As the Nemesis's engines powered up, Sarah felt a profound sense that they were about to change the course of human history. What they didn't know was that they were about to uncover secrets that would shake the very foundation of human civilization, and that the ship they now commanded was merely the beginning of a much larger discovery. The Nemesis dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Arcturus system, its impossible hull drinking in the light of the distant stars. Sarah stood at the command center, watching as tactical displays showed 3 Nexus Coalition dreadnoughts systematically destroying the human colony's orbital defenses. They're not even bothering to jam communications, Lieutenant Rivera reported from Tactical, his voice tight with anger. They're broadcasting the attack to demoralize other colonies. Sarah felt the Nemesis's consciousness pulse with something that felt remarkably like anticipation. Over the past week, the ship had been teaching them its capabilities, but there hadn't been time to test them in actual combat. Now, facing 3 enemy capital ships, they were about to find out what the ancient vessel could really do. All hands, battle stations, Sarah commanded. Dr. Wong, what do we know about their shield configurations? Marcus, who had insisted on joining the crew as their xenotech specialist, studied his readings. Standard Nexus paradigm. Layered quantum barriers with rotating frequencies. They're practically impenetrable to our conventional weapons. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Good thing we're not conventional. Lieutenant Rivera, target the lead dreadnought. Let's introduce ourselves. The Nemesis's weapon systems were unlike anything in humanity's arsenal. Instead of traditional energy beams or kinetic projectiles, the ship created localized distortions in space-time itself. As they watched, a sphere of absolute darkness formed in front of their vessel. Gravitational singularity formed. The ship's consciousness reported directly into their minds. Target locked. Calculating probable enemy response patterns based on observed tactical doctrine. The lead dreadnought noticed them then, turning its massive bulk with surprising grace. Energy readings showed it powering up its main weapons array. Sarah felt a moment of doubt. They were about to go head-to-head with a ship 5 times their size. Enemy vessel charging primary weapons, Rivera announced. Impact in 5 seconds. Hold position. Sarah ordered, trusting in the ship's capabilities. Let them take the first shot. The dreadnought's beam weapon lashed out, a stream of concentrated plasma that could vaporize a conventional warship. But as it approached the Nemesis, something extraordinary happened. The energies seemed to flow around them like water around a stone, guided by invisible forces that bent space itself. Attack ineffective. The ship's consciousness reported with what Sarah could have sworn was satisfaction, initiating countermeasures. The sphere of darkness in front of them collapsed inward and then exploded outward, sending a wave of distorted space toward the enemy vessel. When it hit, the dreadnought's supposedly impenetrable shields simply ceased to exist. The ship's hull crumpled inward as if crushed by an invisible fist. By all the stars, Marcus whispered, staring at his readings. The weapon didn't destroy their shields. It removed the section of space where they existed. The remaining 2 dreadnoughts began to move, their formations shifting to bring their weapons to bear. But the Nemesis was already moving. its organic-looking hull flowing and reshaping itself to present minimal target profiles. Multiple targeting solutions available, the ship reported. Recommended strategy: divide and isolate. Sarah nodded, understanding the tactical display the ship was sharing with her mind. Execute recommended strategy. Rivera, coordinate with the ship's AI for optimal timing. What followed was unlike any battle in human military history. The nemesis dance between the massive dreadnoughts, its hull constantly shifting to avoid their increasingly desperate attacks. Each time they fired, the ship's gravity manipulation systems bent their weapons' fire away or absorbed it entirely. "Captain," Marcus called out, his voice urgent. "I'm detecting massive energy builds in their engines. They're preparing to jump to hyperspace. They're going to report our existence," Rivera added. "The entire Nexus fleet will know about us." Sarah felt the ship's consciousness merge more deeply with her own, sharing tactical predictions and strategic analyses at the speed of thought. "Let them run," she decided. "But first, we're going to give them something to remember us by." The Nemesis's primary weapon charged again, but this time the ship did something different. Instead of a single sphere of darkness, dozens of smaller distortions appeared, surrounding both remaining dreadnoughts in a complex geometric pattern. "What are you doing?" Sarah asked the ship mentally. "Demonstrating tactical superiority," came the reply. "Observe." The distortions activated simultaneously, not crushing the ships, but rather slicing them apart with surgical precision. Huge sections of their hulls were simply removed, leaving the core systems and life support intact. Message composed in Nexus Standard Language, the ship reported. Translation: "This was mercy. Next time, we will not be so generous. Humanity is under our protection." As the crippled dreadnoughts limped away into hyperspace, Sarah turned to her crew. Their faces showed a mixture of awe and disbelief at what they had just witnessed, but there was something else in their expressions too: pride and a growing understanding of what this ship could mean for humanity's future. "Dr. Wong," she said, "I want a full analysis of that battle. Every detail, every capability the ship demonstrated. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." Marcus nodded, already buried in his readings. "Captain, these weapons, they're not just advanced technology. They're rewriting what we thought was possible. The ship isn't just fighting the enemy. It's fighting the laws of physics themselves." Sarah felt the ship's consciousness stir with what felt like approval. But beneath that sensation was something else, a deeper purpose still hidden from them. The Nemesis had shown them a fraction of its capabilities, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they had barely scratched the surface of its true potential. As they set course for Earth to report their success, the ship shared one final thought with her. Protocol 7 Alpha advancing to Stage 2. Preparing to unlock additional systems. The true test approaches. Earth's orbital defense platform, Alpha 7, hung against the backdrop of the blue planet, its massive array of sensors scanning deep space for any sign of Nexus Coalition activity. Inside her quarters aboard the Nemesis, Sarah Chen studied the latest intelligence reports with growing concern. The enemy had gone quiet, too quiet. After their encounter in the Arcturus system, the ship's consciousness brushed against her mind, sharing her unease. Over the past month, their neural link had grown stronger, allowing for deeper communication. But tonight, something felt different. The ship's thoughts carried an undercurrent of anticipation. A chime at her door interrupted her concentration. "Enter." Dr. Marcus Wong rushed in, his usual composed demeanor replaced by barely contained excitement. "Captain, you need to see this. We've decoded another layer of the ship's database." Sarah followed him to the research lab they'd set up in one of the Nemesis's adaptive chambers. The room had reshaped itself over time to accommodate their equipment, growing new interfaces and power connections as needed. "Look at this," Marcus said, pulling up a holographic display. Ancient symbols floated in the air, slowly translating themselves into modern language. "These aren't just technical specifications, they're historical records." Sarah's eyes widened as she read. This can't be right. According to this, human civilization reached our current level of technology once before, over 10,000 years ago. Not just reached it, surpassed it. Marcus's hands flew over the controls, bringing up more data. They had colonies across multiple star systems, technologies we can barely comprehend. The Nemesis isn't just a warship, it's a survivor of that era. The ship's consciousness surged forward, and suddenly the lab filled with holographic images. They watched as an ancient human civilization rose to incredible heights, mastering gravity, learning to bend space itself to their will. But then something went wrong. Alert! The ship's voice echoed in their minds. Stage 2 protocols now active. Classified historical data unlocked. The hologram shifted, showing a terrible war. Not against aliens, but against something else. Massive vessels of organic technology, twisted and wrong, emerged from tears in space itself. The ancient humans called them the Void Hunters, entities from another dimension that saw our universe as prey. The Nexus Coalition, Sarah whispered, the pieces finally falling into place. They're not just aliens. They're an advance force, preparing our galaxy for the Hunters' return. Marcus stared at the data scrolling past. The ancient humans found a way to drive the Hunters back, but the cost. He paused, his face pale. They had to sacrifice their entire civilization. They seeded the galaxy with ships like the Nemesis, hidden guardians waiting for humanity to rise again. Sarah felt the ship's consciousness expand, sharing memories that had been locked away for millennia. The Nemesis wasn't just a weapon. It was a library, a teacher, and a warning system all in one. Its mission wasn't just to fight the current enemy, but to prepare humanity for a much greater threat. Captain, Lieutenant Rivera's voice came over the comm. We're detecting massive energy signatures. Multiple Nexus vessels just dropped out of hyperspace. At least 20 dreadnoughts, plus support ships. Sarah rushed to the bridge, her mind already linking with the ship's tactical systems. The holographic displays showed a Nexus fleet larger than any they'd encountered before, forming a battle line between Earth and the Moon. They know what we are, the ship's consciousness told her. They recognized this design. We were their nightmare once, the weapons that drove back their masters. A transmission cut through all frequencies, broadcasting in multiple languages. The alien voice was cold, mechanical. Attention, human vessel. We know what you have awakened. Surrender the ship, or we will destroy your world. You have 1 hour to comply. The bridge crew looked to Sarah, but she was deep in communion with the ship, accessing newly unlocked memories and capabilities. The Nemesis had been holding back, showing them only a fraction of its true power. Now, with the protocols advancing, it was ready to reveal more. Dr. Wong, she said, her voice steady. How quickly can you upload the historical data to Earth's secure networks? They need to know what's coming. Maybe 20 minutes for a basic transfer. But Captain, if what we just learned is true, then humanity needs to prepare for a war unlike anything we've imagined. Sarah turned to her tactical officer. Rivera, begin emergency evacuation protocols for all orbital facilities. If this turns into a battle, I don't want civilians in the crossfire. The ship's consciousness merged more deeply with hers, showing her capabilities that had been hidden until now. The organic-looking hull could do more than just reshape itself. It could generate quantum fields that violated the fundamental laws of physics as humanity understood them. All hands, Sarah broadcast ship-wide. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I need you to listen carefully. We're not just fighting for Earth now, we're fighting for the future of our entire dimension. The Nemesis is going to show us things that defy explanation. Trust in your training. Trust in each other, and most importantly, trust in the ship. As her crew acknowledged, Sarah felt a new presence in her mind. The ship wasn't just sharing tactical data now. It was offering her access to the full knowledge of the ancient humans who had built it. The neural interface expanded, threatening to overwhelm her with 10,000 years of hidden history. Captain, Marcus called out, his voice tight with concern. Your neural patterns are changing. The ship is. It's rewriting your brain's architecture. Sarah gritted her teeth against the flood of information. It's supposed to. This is what the ship was waiting for. A moment when we'd have no choice but to accept its full capabilities. Rivera, tactical analysis of the enemy fleet. 23 dreadnoughts, 47 cruiser-class vessels. And, Captain, they're deploying something else. Massive organic signatures, unlike anything in our database. The ship's consciousness provided the answer. Void Hunter biomechanical constructs. Early-stage manifestation. The Coalition is attempting to create a stable bridge between dimensions. Sarah absorbed the tactical implications with her enhanced mind. The Nemesis had weapons specifically designed to fight these entities, weapons that didn't just destroy their targets but erased them from the fabric of reality itself. Dr. Wong, status of the data transfer. 15 minutes remaining. Captain, I'm seeing references in the data to something called the Unity Protocol. The ship seems very interested in it. The Nemesis confirmed his observation. The Unity Protocol was our Creator's final gift. When activated, it allows for complete synthesis between human consciousness and ship systems. But the process is irreversible. Sarah understood what wasn't being said. To unlock the ship's full potential, to save Earth and prepare humanity for the coming war, she would have to sacrifice her human form. The ship wasn't just offering her command. It was offering her transcendence. The enemy fleet began to move, taking up attack positions around Earth's orbital defenses. They had only minutes left before the ultimatum expired. Transfer at 60%, Marcus reported. But Captain, there's something else in the data. The Nemesis, it's not just one of many ships. It's the last of its kind. All the others were destroyed fighting the Void Hunters. Sarah felt the weight of history pressing down on her. One ship, one crew, standing between humanity and an enemy that had already destroyed their civilization once before. But this time would be different. This time, they had warning, preparation, and a weapon that remembered how to win. Unity Protocol standing by. The ship announced in her mind. Awaiting your command, Captain Chen. Choose. Sarah looked at her crew, at the holographic displays showing Earth below them, and at the massive enemy fleet preparing to attack. 10,000 years of human history had led to this moment. Begin Unity Protocol, she commanded. Let's show them why the Void Hunters fear this ship. Light and darkness merged as Sarah Chen ceased to be merely human. The Unity Protocol rewrote her consciousness at the quantum level, spreading it throughout the Nemesis's systems until the distinction between captain and ship became meaningless. She was the ship, and the ship was her, their combined consciousness expanding to encompass every circuit, every weapons system, every molecule of the advanced hull. Captain. Marcus's voice seemed to come from both the bridge speakers and directly into her expanded mind. Your vital signs. They're impossible. You're operating on multiple quantum states simultaneously. She answered with both her human voice and through the ship's communication systems, the words overlapping in perfect synchronization. I understand everything now. The ship's true purpose, the nature of the Void Hunters, all of it. Through her new perceptions, she could see the enemy fleet in ways human sensors never could. The Nexus vessels weren't just ships. They were infected with traces of void energy, their very existence serving as anchor points for the coming invasion. Data transfer complete, Marcus reported. Earth has the historical records. They know what we're facing. The enemy fleet opened fire, thousands of energy beams converging on their position. But Sarah/Nemesis saw the attacks coming before they were launched, their unified consciousness calculating quantum probability states faster than human thought. The ship's hull flowed like liquid metal, opening dimensional apertures that swallowed the incoming fire. We are targeting their dimensional anchor points, Sarah announced, her voice resonating with new harmonics. Stand by for full spectrum engagement. The Nemesis's weapons were no longer limited by human understanding of physics. Sarah's consciousness directed streams of concentrated reality through the quantum apertures, striking at the very foundation of the enemy fleet's existence. Ships didn't explode. They simply ceased to be, their matter and energy scattered across multiple dimensions. "By all that's holy," Rivera whispered, watching his tactical displays. "We're not just destroying them. We're erasing them from space-time itself." The Nexus fleet responded with desperate fury, launching their biomechanical constructs. Massive organic forms twisted through space, their bodies existing partially in other dimensions. These were the precursors to the Void Hunters, early attempts to bridge the gap between realities. Sarah felt a surge of ancient memory, the ship remembering its original battles against these abominations. The hull reformed, sprouting crystalline structures that pulsed with multidimensional energy. Each pulse sent ripples through reality, forcing the constructs fully into normal space where they could be targeted. Multiple dimensional breaches detected, the unified consciousness reported. They're attempting to summon reinforcements directly from the void. Tiers in spacetime began to appear around Earth's orbit, each one a potential invasion point for horrors beyond human comprehension. But Sarah/Nemesis had anticipated this. The ship's crystalline structures aligned, forming a complex geometric pattern that spread throughout local space, initiating dimensional lockdown. Sarah commanded, "All hands, brace for reality fluctuation." The Nemesis released a wave of pure quantum energy, precisely calibrated to seal the breaches. The fabric of space itself seemed to shudder as multiple dimensions collided and were forced apart. Several Nexus ships were caught in the dimensional shear, their hulls twisted into impossible shapes before vanishing. But the effort cost them. Sarah felt the strain on the ship's systems, felt her own consciousness threatening to fragment under the pressure of existing in multiple quantum states. Warning signals flashed through her expanded awareness. They were approaching critical limits. "Captain," Marcus called out, his voice urgent. "The ship's power core is destabilizing. The Unity protocol wasn't meant to be pushed this far." He was right. The ancient humans had designed the Nemesis to fight the Void Hunters, but not on this scale. They were attempting to do alone what had once required an entire fleet of similar vessels. A new signal caught their attention. The remaining Nexus ships were retreating, pulling back to a safe distance, but instead of fleeing, they began to arrange themselves in a precise formation. "Energy spike," Rivera shouted. "They're channeling power through their entire fleet, some kind of coherent beam weapon." Sarah/Nemesis analyzed the threat, calculating possibilities at quantum speeds. The enemy was attempting to concentrate the power of their entire fleet into a single attack, one that would not only destroy the Nemesis but tear open a permanent breach in spacetime over Earth. The unified consciousness came to a decision. "All hands, prepare for Emergency Protocol Omega. Dr. Wong, transmit everything we've learned about Void Hunter technology to Earth's defense networks." "Captain," Marcus protested, "if you're thinking what I think you are." "There's no choice." Sarah's human voice was calm, even as her expanded consciousness prepared for what was coming. "We can't let them open that breach. The ship remembers what happened last time. An entire civilization died to prevent it." The Nemesis's hull began to glow with impossible colors as they redirected power from every system into a single massive quantum matrix. They would have one chance to end this, to not just defeat the enemy fleet, but to send a message that would echo across dimensions. "It has been an honor," Sarah told her crew, feeling the ship's systems build toward a point of no return. "Humanity knows what's coming now. They can prepare, but this battle ends here." The enemy fleet fired their combined weapon, a beam of concentrated void energy that could tear reality itself apart. But Sarah/Nemesis was ready. As the attack approached, they initiated their final protocol, one that would remind the Void Hunters why they had feared these ships so long ago. Time slowed to a crawl as the void beam approached. Sarah/Nemesis's unified consciousness calculated the exact moment of intersection. Their existence spread across multiple quantum states simultaneously. The ship's hull had transformed into something that barely resembled technology anymore. A crystalline lattice of pure possibility, ready to execute its final protocol. Energy core at maximum capacity, Rivera reported, his voice steady despite the situation. Whatever we're going to do, it has to be now. Through their expanded awareness, Sarah could see the beam for what it truly was, not just a weapon, but a key designed to unlock the barriers between dimensions. If it struck Earth's atmosphere, it would create a permanent breach, a door through which the Void Hunters could pour into our reality. Dr. Wong, Sarah's human voice called out one last time. The data you transferred. Does Earth understand how to replicate the ship's quantum technology? Yes, Marcus answered, tears in his eyes as he realized what was coming. The basic principles, at least. It'll take years, but they can build more ships like this. Good. The unified consciousness of ship and captain merged completely, reaching a state of perfect synthesis. Because they're going to need them. The Nemesis' crystalline structure began to rotate, forming impossible geometric patterns in four-dimensional space. They weren't just preparing to intercept the beam. They were going to use it, turn the enemy's own weapon against them in a way the Void Hunters would never forget. All hands, Sarah/Nemesis broadcast. It has been the highest honor to serve with you. In approximately 30 seconds, emergency teleport protocols will activate. You'll be returned to Earth with all the data we've gathered. Humanity must be ready for what's coming. Captain, Rivera protested, you can't face this alone. We're not alone, the unified consciousness replied. We carry the legacy of two civilizations, the humanity that built us and the humanity we protect now. That's more than enough. The void beam struck their quantum matrix. For a moment, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The Nemesis crew vanished in flashes of light, teleported to safety just as the ship executed its final protocol. Instead of trying to block or deflect the beam, Sarah/Nemesis let it in. Their crystalline structure acted as a lens, focusing and redirecting the energy through layers of quantum-engineered reality. The void beam's power fed back through their systems, amplified by the ship's own core, building toward something that had only been theoretical until now. Dimensional inversion activated, the unified consciousness announced to the empty bridge, calculating final targeting solution. The Nexus fleet realized too late what was happening. They tried to scatter, to break their formation, but they were caught in the gravity well of what the Nemesis was becoming. Sarah felt her consciousness expand one final time as the ship transformed into pure energy, a quantum singularity that existed in all dimensions simultaneously. And then they released everything. The explosion wasn't just in normal space, it rippled through every nearby dimension, sealing breaches and cauterizing reality itself. The Nexus fleet vanished, their ships and void-corrupted technology erased not just from existence, but from possibility. But more importantly, the blast sent a message. The quantum shockwave carried the encoded memories of two human civilizations, a warning that would echo through the dimensional barriers and reach the Void Hunters themselves. Earth was protected, humanity remembered, and they would be ready. In high orbit around Earth, where the Nemesis had made its final stand, a new phenomenon appeared. A quantum anomaly, a piece of space-time that existed in multiple states at once. Inside it, preserved in a bubble of altered reality, the combined consciousness of Sarah Chen and the ancient ship continued to watch over the planet they had died to protect. Months later, on Earth, Marcus Wong stood before the United Earth Council, presenting his findings on the quantum technology they had inherited. The Nemesis didn't just save us from one attack, he explained. It gave us everything we need to prepare for the real war. The ship's sacrifice bought us time, and its technology gives us a fighting chance. He activated a holographic display, showing the designs for a new class of vessel. It incorporated principles from the Nemesis, but adapted them for modern human use. We're calling it the Phoenix class, he continued, because like the ancient civilization that came before us, we'll rise from our own ashes. But this time, We won't face the Void Hunters alone. We have the knowledge of our past, the determination of our present, and a future that we'll forge ourselves. In orbit, the quantum anomaly pulsed slightly, as if in approval. The consciousness within it had evolved beyond simple existence, becoming something that bordered on transcendence. Sarah Chen's final human thoughts merged with the ship's ancient purpose, creating a guardian that existed outside of normal time and space. They would watch humanity rebuild, watch them take the legacy of the Nemesis and forge it into something new. Watch them prepare for a war that would determine not just the fate of one species or one planet, but the future of reality itself. And when the Void Hunters finally returned, they would find something they had never expected. A humanity that remembered its past, understood its potential, and stood ready to defend not just their dimension, but all of existence. The story of the Nemesis was over, but humanity's story, their true story, was just beginning.